The Joe Biden administration has just rolled out a new survey. It is the Proposed Emergency Survey Cryptocurrency Mining Facilities Survey. And it's all about, what do you know, registering your Bitcoin facilities, your cryptocurrency mining operations. They even go so far as to say, we want your grid coordinates of where they are located, hash power, what kind of ASICs, what kind of mining rigs you have set up, and how many. Marty Bent goes into this in great detail. This is back-to-back days now, talking about what's been happening. If you want to see the video from yesterday, we talk about the European Union and their proof of work legislation and their attack on proof of work and Bitcoin mining in Europe. So go back to that video and go watch that from yesterday, and you're going to see exactly how much the West and Europe, the United States, can't stand you having freedom. Cannot stand. There's no other way to say it. We have crossed the Rubicon. However, I saw this coming 15 years ago as a kid, as a college student, seeing our freedoms railroaded. And, to be quite honest, I don't even know if people care at this point. I think sometimes I'm just barking at a cement brick wall, barking up the wrong tree. I don't know what the cliche or analogy is, but I honestly don't even know if people care anymore. I think people are so dead inside, and they've been so sedated, which is, George Orwell, 1984. It's Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. People are so sedated with their drugs, with their pills, with their concoctions, with their Roman Colosseum, bread and circuses. I don't even know if anyone cares. My energy has never been higher. I thought it was high 20 years ago as a high school kid and a college kid, looking at these things and seeing the problems in front of us, not even having a family at that time, but to see the people, the malaise on society and just not even standing up for freedoms. We have these surveys going out and people just willingly, selectively saying, yeah, here we go, here, I'll do it. Just like Executive Order 6102 with gold, people selectively saying, shoot, even the draft, the military draft, is a self-selection saying, hey, I'm here. You don't think the government knows you're a male and you're 18 years old? They have your social security number. They know. Just like taxes. They know what you owe. Hence why when you don't pay enough, they say, oh, no, you owe us some more. But you're required to go figure it out, though, still, and get a CPA or do your taxes and get tax software, whatever it is. This is the ruse. This is the game being played on us over and over and over again. And when you have leaders, when you have elites, an unproductive class that can continually print currency, and that value has to come from somewhere. You can't just counterfeit currency into a circulation without value coming from something. It's stolen through inflation. Your time and energy is stolen through inflation in higher prices, and that wealth is then accrued. That time and energy is accrued to the people at the top, the people closest to the printer. And think the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, and really the unproductive class. That's the productive class part of it, but the unproductive class is the politicians, the bureaucrats, the complex, the military-industrial complex, the people that get you to spend, like drunken sailors, your time and energy away without even asking you. We are at that point, and this is how these systems perpetuate. So we have this survey going out. Which Marty says brilliantly, this should be completely ignored, and people should not tell anything about what they are doing. The amount of discrimination going on against certain energy providers. The government, I've made some notes here. Again, the federal government isn't here to do much at all. Again, newsflash, I don't know if anyone even cares at this point. I don't know if anyone will actually care until people are just literally locked into cages, literally or figuratively, and there's no way out. I don't know what is going to, how many times do you have to get punched in the face before you realize you're in a fight? How many times do you have to be lied to until you as a human being have enough pride in yourself to realize, I'm getting lied to over and over again, and I'm not standing for this anymore. I'm going to stand up against evil, and I'm going to let truth ring, and I'm going to disinfect the darkness with the light. The federal government is here to promote the general defense and general welfare. That's it. That's their long story short. That's their job. It's not to come in and tell us who can provide energy to who can't do what. The precedent has been set, though. 15 years ago, what really woke me up was the bailouts, the too big to fail. And that was just the bailouts of the central banking system, and that is the game. As G. Edward Griffin wrote in The Creature from Jekyll Island, which came out in the early 90s, the name of the game is bailouts. And this was the whole design of central banking. It was to take the power of the people, to break the will of them, which we're at that point where no one really even cares anymore, about their wealth, about their freedom and liberty. As long as they have a few bonbons and ho-hos and they have a game system to distract themselves and sedate themselves and some pills and some alcohol, they're good to go. What kind of life is that? Again, I don't even know if people care anymore. I've been probably talking to the wrong crowd and talking the wrong tune for years. I was under the impression for much of my life that people actually cared about stuff like this. And, between the algorithms not pushing out truth and freedom, things like that, and people just really not resonating with the messages, I just don't think people even care, to be quite honest. But I will not stop. I will never stop. And this is going to be the fight for the rest of my life. It's been this fight for me, at least for 20 years. And it's something that at least scratches my itch. I don't know, selfishly. It at least makes me feel like I'm making some contribution. Because again, I question what the point is at times. And I know God has a plan. I know that. And I think I'm a part of that plan. And that's just, I'm some, little, cog in that wheel, I guess, to be part of that plan, I hope. But the government's going to tell us what's good and bad, what we should and should not do. That's not the job of the government, and that's completely antithetical to America. Obamacare, though, set the precedent for this, telling people what they can or cannot buy, that they need to buy something. I don't know of any time before that. And again, someone please comment here below if there was another time when the government forced us to do something and forced us to, you could say getting injections in a way, I guess that was part of it. It's part of this whole, plan for decades. And some of those things did well, but that plan has been bastardized because of the chase of the dollar. And the broken monetary system creates these malincentives that have people chasing dollars at the cost of their people, of their consumers. And that's where we are with most companies. They are chasing malincentives because of 90-day earnings calls, because they're trying to go out the risk curve and put worse ingredients in their food, put cheaper components in their cars, put cheaper components in their medicines, and they're trying to chase that 90-day earnings call so their stock doesn't go down. Because we financialize the economy so much that we're chasing the almighty dollar, idolizing the dollar, breaking commandments, stealing wealth through the inflation, our time and energy being stolen. So the dollar itself is a one world currency. It's a mark of the beast, and it breaks multiple commandments, 2 to 4 commandments, depending on how you're looking at it, just by its very existence, idolizing, having other gods besides us. So these companies and people all running after dollars, making decisions against their own body, against their own family, because they're scared that their paycheck's going to go away. They're scared that they are going to lose their job. That is what the fiat monetary, debt-based monetary system does. A debt-based system. Dollars are IOUs. They are notes. They are owed back to the central bank with interest. And the interest is the national debt. That is interest owed back to every single dollar in existence has interest on top of it. So what happens when you pay them all back? There's only interest left. The system collapses. That's why there cannot be deflation. That's why there's Keynesians and there's MMTers and monetary theorists, and that's why it's talked about how debt is so good and it's going to be fine, because the system can't go the other way. Hence why we get to the end of the road finally of realizing, we need to build another system. How about let's build a system opposite of this system? A neutral system, based on deflation, where prices go down and standard of living go up, instead of now where prices go up and standard of living goes down. Novel idea. So the government is going to tell you what's good for you. They know. There's the arson and the firefighter. They know, though. Don't look over the border, though, where millions of people are coming in every single year. And mind you, we have laws in the books. We have borders. I've crossed Canada, U.S. hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in my life, playing hockey, family. There are borders there. There are customs agents ready to take people in and out. But we choose not to do that. We choose to incentivize other things. And again, is it an agenda or is it stupidity? We're not going to be safe there. We're going to be safe in telling you who can provide energy or not, claiming that it wastes energy, which, again, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. It just is. It just transfers state. So again, a complete lie. Bald-faced lie. Energy is not... You can't overuse energy because it just is. Theology and science both tell us that. So illegals are crossing. We're starting wars left and right. There's a waste of energy. Time, resources, blood, life, dropping bombs. That's all kinds of energy being used. So we're starting wars. This guy has started multiple wars, this administration, government in general, though, right? This is not just one guy, but dropping bombs on people's heads. We started multiple wars in the last 4 years. We have opened the borders. We have all kinds of stuff. The only thing, promote general welfare, promote the general, provide for the common defense. And they've done none of that. But yet they're going to sit here and they're worrying about who's mining Bitcoin, who's stabilizing the grid too much, who's putting a mining rig on their oil, gas flares and taking those toxins out of the atmosphere. The things that they are actually for, I thought. The green agenda. Prioritizing the green agenda in other countries. Like we have Ilhan Omar, who I'm here to protect Somalia. You're a United States representative. what kind of world are we living in? However, again, most of these leaders know that the average person is not paying attention. They don't care. And this is where this comes into play, is standing up. At some point, some people need to stand up, because it only takes a few percent of people in order to affect change. That's it. During the lockdowns 4 years ago, if 1%, 3% of business owners would have stood in lockstep and said, I'm not sitting down, I'm not shutting my store. Guess what? Stores don't shut down. You can't imprison all these people. I mean, you can try, but then things unravel very quickly, and the government doesn't want that. They want things to be very slow, methodical, so people don't notice. Well, we're at that time, folks. We are at that time, gang. As Mickey Redmond would say, we are at that time, gang. Again, we're going to single out, the government's going to single out people, whether it's people buying firearms, saying there's a war on drugs, Bitcoin mining facilities, but yet we're over here starting wars, endless wars. We're putting our troops in harm's way. We're putting those in the border in harm's way and putting the rest of our country in harm's way. I just talked to someone down in Mexico on one of our Twitter spaces, and they just said, yeah, vast majority, they're from Mexico actually, and they live on this side of the border. And they said, yeah, most of the people coming across the border don't speak Spanish and they don't speak English. Can you take a guess where they're coming from? And they're not speaking any European languages. Can you guess where they're coming from? We're in a time that tries men's souls. The time to stand is now. The time to disinfect darkness with light is now, with truth. Pick up your cross and lay down your life. We're going to spend a lot more time in eternity than we are on this earth. We better start thinking about that. What is right and just? I think Marty Ben, I'm going to leave this with that. And again, I don't always read from articles, but I think Marty has been nailing this. So we're going to read this. The government gave us a week's worth of rest before dropping the survey after the FinCEN, after people responded back to the government and said, get the heck out of here with the FinCEN stuff, which we've talked about before. Well, it's time to get back on the horse and let the government know that this act of egregious aggression that singles out a particular electricity consumer will not stand. The Bitcoin mining industry is not doing anything wrong, and it should not have to respond to a survey that is attempting to paint us as bad actors. As I stated earlier, the data is already out there and is abundantly clear. Bitcoin miners are a massive boon to the energy systems of this country, both on and off grid. Again, data is completely undeniable. So why are we going after people that are doing good for the grid and doing good for energy consumption? Seems very interesting. Seems like there might be an ulterior motive there, huh? Entrepreneurial spirit and drive to make the world a better place while making some money has begun to fix systemic problems that government policy created in the first place. And again, just to be clear, I do think a lot of this goes away, but it starts from education. People understanding they need to vote. People that are against liberty, those people need to be voted out. And we need to vote in people, overwhelming majorities, that promote liberty and freedom, no matter what you believe or not. But liberty and freedom, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and freedom to transact in the money you wish, these are all fundamental principles that need to be upheld. And then everything else starts to heal itself after that, once we have done that. I do think this will happen as the demographic shift and people in this decade start coming into power that are younger in spirit and mind. It could be 80, that could be 25, 35, whatever, but younger in spirit and mind and understanding the world we are entering. Those people will change things very quickly. We are at the last vestiges of the force turning, where the older thinking generations, older thinking mindset, and again, there's 30, 40-year-olds that think that way, and there are 80-year-olds that think this way. The old legacy debt-based system is still a thing. Red versus blue. No. It's the state versus you. It's collectivism versus individualism. It's it's orange versus green. It's the dollar versus sound money. That's the fight right now. That's the true fight. And it's 99% versus the 1%, quite honestly. If the government is truly worried about the robustness of the energy system in the United States, they should get out of the way. All the subsidies thrown at renewable energy have created perverse economic incentives that favor unreliable energy generation over reliable baseload. They have actively hindered the proliferation of nuclear energy for decades with layers of red tape that make it almost impossible to build new nuclear reactors. They have prevented us from drilling for oil and gas on federal lands and shut down the construction of pipelines that would increase the accessibility and decrease prices mid-construction. Just last week, they issued a mandate to stop the construction of light natural gas facilities that allowed the United States to become a net exporter of energy over the last decade. LNG saved Europe 2 winters ago after we blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The United States federal government is objectively the biggest threat to energy security in America. It isn't Bitcoin miners. Don't show them any respect by responding to the survey. They don't deserve it. Thank you, Marty. Thank you for people standing for freedom, for liberty, for justice, for blind justice. And prosperity for all 8 billion people. We are at a time that try men sold. However, education must be front and center, and standing on truth, principles, ethics, morality must be the way we go about this. We will not win otherwise. We have to fight fire with fire at some times, but we will not stand unless the 3% stand and are heard. I can guarantee you that. History has always shown us that. Please share this out. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Because the algorithm is not going to share this out, so please share this out. Trust what I'm saying, but verify. I'll put a link to this as well, or I'll put a link to this in the episode, and check the blog out as well. I have an article about this in the blog, in the Substack here, so check that out in the description. And this is not financial advice, it is freedom advice. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.